We're demonstrating the Sattvic Energy Balancing Session. This is a session that focuses on the transverse currents, which are related to the feedback mechanisms of the body and the parasympathetic nervous system to facilitate a really profound state of balance and relaxation. First, we begin by checking with our client. We look into their eyes, the windows of the soul, and in our hearts we get telepathic with them, letting them know that this is a safe place and that we're here to do our best to support them in their healing and wholeness. We practice active listening as we ask, how are you feeling in your body?
Well, I have a little bit of a cold due to the change in the season.
You have a little bit of a cold due to the change of the season.
Yes.
How are you doing emotionally?
Good. I'm a little bit nervous about the filming.
Yes, you're a little bit nervous about the filming, but basically good.
Yeah.
And what is your intention? What are you willing to create in your healing and health today?
I'm willing to create a higher level of immune defense.
Yes, a higher level of immune defense.
Yes.
I'm here to support you in that.
Thank you.
I'm going to hold the draping. Part of working with subtle energy is to be as centered, as grounded, as coherent in your own energy as a practitioner as possible. So the first thing we're doing is grounding and centering. First, we orient ourselves to the four directions, the four powers: the sunrise, the south, the sunset, the north. Next, we feel our legs like roots going down into the ground. And we feel the energy of the earth centered deep in our belly, below the navel. We really ground ourselves in these roots and feel our connection with the earth. Next, we feel the energies of heaven flowing to earth through us, and from earth back to heaven through us. And we find a center deep in the core of our cerebral spinal fluid. We then center ourselves in our compassionate intention and begin our Sattvic Energy Balancing Session. We're going to begin with a series of energy balancing cradles. First is what we call the quiet heart cradle. We're going to have the client's head cradled between our two loving hands. 3 fingers crossed over at the occiput, and the index fingers paralleling the carotid arteries, and thus paralleling the vagus nerves to innervate the parasympathetic nervous system, facilitating a process of relaxation. The contact looks like this. Gently cradle the head, begin to lift. We bring the right hand in. The left hand moves below it, the right hand superior, right hand's on top. The index fingers again are paralleling the carotid arteries. The head is comfortably cradled in the practitioner's hands. The skull in the palms, and the earth, water, and fire fingers crossed over at the occiput. The air fingers are paralleling the carotid arteries and thus paralleling the vagus nerves, important nerves for innervating the parasympathetic nervous system. Again, polarity therapy is an inner approach to body work. So the foundation of the work is how relaxed, centered, and grounded the practitioner is. So we're cultivating 2 qualities in all the work that we do in polarity therapy. First, the quality of effortless effort, sometimes called wu-wei. So the practitioner takes deep breaths, checking into their body, and feeling if there's any way they could be more centered or more relaxed. So we're taking a deep breath, and as I breathe out, I'm just feeling my shoulders, my elbows, my forearms, my wrists, my hands, just letting them relax and soften. Again, another deep breath. And as I breathe out, I'm checking in with my torso, my feet, just any way that I could be more relaxed, more centered. A third breath. Breathing into my hands, letting my hands soften and relax. This is the quality of effortless effort. The more relaxed you are, the more coherent the energy flowing through your hands. The more coherent the quality of bioresonance in your hands. The second quality that we're cultivating is therapeutic presence. Presence is the quality of the soul. And we cultivate therapeutic presence in a really easy, a really natural way by always being in the presence of the life force, feeling for the pulse of life, feeling for the breath, the heartbeat, the primary respiratory mechanism, feeling for heat, softening, energy, tingling, vibration, expansion. So the therapist's attention is always in their hands, always in their fingers, always in their fingertips, always in the presence of the life force. The therapist's most powerful energy is their presence. Again, presence is the quality of the soul, and in polarity therapy, our work is to reconnect the field with the soul. In this sattvic contact, Sat is the Sanskrit term for being, and sattva is the force of equilibrium in nature. Here, our loving hands are right at the point where mental impulses move down through the foramen magnum, the great hole, into the central nervous system. And we're radiating our loving, balanced energy into the central nervous system. On another level, the neck is the nucleus of the etheric body, the nucleus of the energy body. Our hands are the most sattvic expression of our neutral field at the diaphragm and heart. The most physical expression of this pure force of equilibrium, this energy that reconnects the fields of the physical body with the soul force at the heart of being. So this sattvic contact is balancing this nucleus of the etheric body, and thus bringing the whole of the energy body and thus all of the physical body back into harmony with its source in higher intelligence. We'll hold sattvic contact until we intuitively feel a shift in the energy, until we can feel a pulse, tingling, vibration, softening, electricity. Perhaps we feel heat or resistance being released. Perhaps we felt some unwinding, some wobbling back and forth, or some spiraling in the energy field, which now moves into a still point and then into more coherence, more integration, more balance. Again, when we intuitively feel a shift in the energy, we can gently remove our hands. We shake our fingers to the earth to release any negativity and to reestablish the integrity of our hands. Then we're ready to move into a second of our head cradles, our Sattvic energy cradles. This is called the quiet mind cradle. Here we gently move the client's head. We bring the palm so that we cradle the skull in the palm, the air and fire fingers on either side of the spine, the skull comfortably cradled in the right hand. Here the left thumb is on the fontanelle, right on the crown chakra. We draw a line from the ears, we can easily identify the crown chakra. 2 fingers are on the third eye, and the 2 exterior fingers stabilize these. So, Your fire and water fingers are close together at the third eye. Your thumb is on the crown chakra. You're breathing into your hands, letting it relax. And you're deeply present in your hands, feeling a pulse between your two hands, feeling a current between your two hands, knowing that you have the client's brain and the central nervous system between your loving hands, knowing that the ultrasonic current between your hands is influencing the bioresonance of the client's brain and central nervous system, helping it to be more sattvic, more attuned to the force of equilibrium in a vibrational universe. Flex to the solar plexus. It's an important digestive reflex. Dr. Stone, the founder of polarity therapy, understood many headaches to be caused by indigestion and excess gas caused by indigestion. That gas tends to rise upward and to collect at the head. Dr. Stone tells us that an excess of space in the collagen fibers of the protein molecules is the source of this pain. This is a contact that's called a headache cradle, where we help to release that excess space, that excess of gas in the collagen fibers of the protein molecules, helping the field on this molecular level to come into a more concentrated, more yang, more healthful space. Again, we're very present in our hands, feeling for the energy, feeling for the pulse of life, holding the contact until we feel a strong therapeutic pulse soften into a more coherent pulse. Or perhaps until we feel heat, the resistance in the field, released. Or until we intuitively feel a sense of completion. When you feel that shift, you can gently remove your hands, shake your fingers to the earth to reestablish the integrity of your field. Sattvic contacts relate to the air element and bring balance to the nervous system. Now we're going to be doing a rajasic contact within this Sattvic session to balance fire, the vital energy in the body. Bring the client nice and close to you on the table so that you're really centered and moving from your center. You don't want to be leaning over and off center. Feel your feet on the ground, relax your knees, center yourself low in your pelvis. Identify the client's navel, and our contact is below the navel with the right hand. The area below the navel is an area that we call the fire center, and it's a center of our vitality, the fire, the creative energy moving through us from the earth. The superior contact is at the third eye. The third eye is what we call the brow center, and it's a center of the fire of vision, where Prakriti, universal creative energy, steps down into our particular body, our particular vehicle. In this contact, we're balancing the fire of vision and the fire of vitality. So here we spiral the hand into the fire center. You want to get an elastic quality in the tissue. The fire center is the center of our spiraling vital currents. And when we spiral our hand into that, it entrains the connective tissue, and the connective tissue surrounds everything in the body. So here, by entraining the connective tissue, we're holding a contact at the vital center, which in a sense envelops the whole body. Here we're focusing on a current between our two hands, and it's a very, very subtle stimulation at the fire center. 15 or 20 seconds of very subtle stimulation. And then stillness and presence, being very present in your two hands, feeling for the current of energy. We'll do 3 or 4 cycles of subtle stimulation, attention totally focused in our hands, and then stillness and presence, deeply focused, feeling for the current of energy between our hands. Perhaps you'll actually see this caduceus of spiraling currents between your hands. Perhaps you'll feel the undulation of the pulse between your hands, or the throbbing of the pulse between your hands. Gently, subtly stimulating for 20, 30, 40 seconds, and then stillness and presence for 10 to 20 seconds, deeply present in your hands. Life and consciousness are inextricably bound. The quality of life is that it's conscious, it's present. Your presence is the quality of the soul and is your most powerful healing force. By focusing your presence in your hands, feeling for the energy, you bring your most powerful healing force into focus in the energy balancing. When you feel a sense of current between your two hands, or you feel the fields coming into more coherence, or you're feeling intuitively more balance, a shift, move your hands, shake them to the earth, and we move to the client's feet. Coming down to the feet, it's really important that you be grounded, that you be centered. In the polarity model and in many schools of subtle energy, the feet are considered the most negative field of the body. There's a lot of elimination at the feet. So if you're really grounded, really feeling your heels, feeling the balls of your foot, really feeling your toes on the ground, relaxing your knees, centering yourself in your belly, low in your belly, you're less likely to be affected by any of this negativity rolling off this negative field. In polarity therapy, we dive first at the feet. So contacts at the feet are disproportionately powerful. Contacts at the feet are the key to chronic disease condition, and always very, very, very beneficial. So we move down to the feet. Here in this session, we're making a contact at these core reflexes just below and behind the malleola, the ankles. At the feet, we're making contacts that are just below and behind the malleola, and also contacts that are stimulating at the same time the anterior tibialis, the most anterior of the tendons on the foot. Here we're going to be making contacts stimulating the anterior tibialis at the ankle, and we're just going to be below and behind the malleola here at the ankle. The anterior tibialis is a reflex to the very heart of our energy field here at the diaphragm and heart, an area that Dr. Stone tells us is the key to opening our receptivity and our self-expression. An area that Dr. Stone tells us is the key to the fire principle, energy directed away from us and energy that is directed towards us. The core reflex below and behind the malleola is a reflex to the prostate, the uterus, the sciatic nerves, the central nervous system, and even the subtle body and the chakra system. So, we're beginning with a gentle stimulation of these core reflexes. Now, in polarity, we're always seeking a rhythm of stimulation and stillness, working on 2 octaves of energy, working on rajas, vitality, the red organs of the body, and also working on sattva, the nervous system, the integration. So first is stimulation, stimulating the field, and then we jump to a higher octave of integration with stillness and presence. Though this contact seems very simple, it's reputed to be able to bring a warm body back to life. As life leaves from the, in a process, this will enhance the vitality of this negative field of the body so profoundly that life will be drawn back into the body. Stimulation and stillness. Deeply present in the stillness. We're going to do 3 or 4 cycles of stimulation for 30 or 40 seconds, and then stillness and presence. Deep breath, and breathe right into the point of contact. The breath is the life force. Breath is energy. Whenever you want to make your contact or your session more powerful and more effective, you want to keep the client breathing consciously into each contact. So first you're stimulating the field, 20, 30, 40 seconds of stimulation. Then you invite the client to take a deep breath into the contact. Three or 4 cycles of stimulation and stillness. Whenever you feel a shift towards more coherence, more integration, or whenever you intuitively feel a sense of completion, you want to shake your fingers off. And we move to the next of our contacts at the feet. In polarity, we work with the body as a field of energy. Energy steps down in many ways into physical expression. One of the fundamental ways in which energy steps down from a universal field of life into our physical bodies is through the chakra system. The chakras connect our body to the life of nature and the life of the cosmos, and our place where the subtle universal elements move down into the material, what are called the gross material elements which underlie the physical body. Each of the chakras sustains one of the long currents, and the long currents are embodied in the 5 fingers and 5 toes, which resonate and are an expression of the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the ether chakras. We can do a really powerful and effective level of chakra balancing with a technique called toning. In our approach to energy, the universe is sung into being. What scientists would tell us is a vibrational universe. We would say, we would agree, certainly, that it's a vibrational universe. But this vibrational universe is an expression of supreme intelligence. So our voice is a microcosm of the creative process and a microcosm of the Holy Word. By using our voice, we're using the actual stuff of creation, the actual substance of creation. We're using the breath of life, the carrier of the soul force, and this breath of life is pregnant with our intelligence, our will, our intention. So here we're using toning to touch the client's manomaya kosha, mental body, pranamaya kosha, life force body, and of course their physical body as well. So here we're going to use our hands, which are the neutral fields of the long currents, and place them. Neutral in polarity always means source energy, and place them on the appropriate negative fields at the tips of the feet. Clients and practitioners are going to be toning together, and here we're going to be using the bija mantras, the seed syllables from Ayurveda, which resonate with the quintessence of the elements and help to attune our subtle body to the universal elements. And we move from gross to subtle, from earth to water to fire to air to ether in our chakra balancing. So first we focus at the tip of the tailbone. And the tailbone is like an antenna that resonates with the keynote of the earth element. So we focus on the sacrococcygeal juncture and the earth chakra. And our tone here is the Ayurvedic seed syllable for balancing the earth chakra, the tone lam, emphasizing the la and feeling the resonate in our body. Focusing on the tip of the tailbone, picturing the color of the earth chakra, a vermilion radiance, the color of molten lava, or the color of burning coals that embodies the evolutionary potential and the creative potential of the earth. Clients, practitioners, toning, focusing on the root chakra, the tone is la. Deep breath. Moving up the musical scale, we focus on the sacrum, which is a sacred chalice of life. The word sacred comes from the same root as sacrum. And the sacrum is the home of the water chakra, the second chakra, and the second chakra is ruled by both the moon, which gives it a translucent light, and this translucent light, it's also reflected, is also ruled by Jupiter, Brihaspati. And Jupiter adds a flame-colored radiance, which predominates and shines through the pure white light to give the second chakra a flame-colored quality. So let's picture a flame-colored radiance at the second chakra, accelerating our evolution into the light. Here the tone is va, feeling that va resonate at the sacral lumbar juncture, and feeling that va radiance, flame-colored radiance throughout the body. Client, practitioner, toning together as we move up the musical scale. Deep breath. At the solar plexus, we picture the whole solar plexus radiating with the solar force. Here the bija mantra is Ra, Ram, Ram. It's sung in a really yang way. And the color is a luster, the color of vitality, the color of gold. If you ever have gold, it gives off an aura, a lustrous aura of transcendent light. So here in the solar plexus, we picture a golden luster, not yellow, but gold, like the luster of the light of the soul and the light of vitality, or the gold and white light that golden jewels give off. Here we chant in a really yang way, invoking the solar force and opening to the blessings of vitality, creativity, and personal power. Deep breath. Next is the heart chakra, and here we feel our oneness with Mother Nature. The color of the heart chakra is emerald, and the predominant color in nature is green. So we picture an emerald green radiance, and we feel our oneness with Mother Nature, feel ourselves as cells in her body. And we feel her quality, her essential quality, as serenity, and we feel ourselves as very much a part of that serenity. Here we're toning at the heart chakra. Here we're toning in a higher octave. Our bodies are a blending of the currents moving from earth to heaven and the currents moving from heaven to earth. At the heart we have a still point where these two ultrasonic currents counter each other and create a still point that's one with the heart of creation. Here the tone is yam, sung in a higher octave. Deep breath. Next, we're at the throat chakra. And the color of the throat chakra is like the colors of this etheric bird, the peacock, the peacock's neck. This beautiful blue shimmering with golds and silvers and greens. And this is the color of the throat chakra, an iridescent blue. And ether is where the subtle universal elements step down into the physical body and is the nucleus of the etheric body. The predominant quality of ether are freedom and humility. So let's open to the blessings of ether, and here the tone is hum, again sung in a higher octave. Deep breath. Third eye, we use the Ayurvedic seed syllable kasham. The color is amethyst, like storm clouds, and the blessing is self-realization. Deep breath. At the crown chakra, we picture pure white light, diamond white light, and we chant the mystical syllable A, O, M, Om. Deep breath. Deep breath. This energy balancing is really powerful, especially this toning here at the negative field and this toning of the chakras. Often the client will feel energy or tingling in their body as the physical fields realign with the soul. Remember, the worse shape the client is in, the more profound the impact of the energy balancing session. So a client that's having a difficult time emotionally or physically will get some really remarkable results from these simple energy balancing techniques. We're removing our hands, shaking them off, and we move again to the client's right side. Here again, you want to really feel your feet on the ground, really center yourself low in your belly, get a quality of springiness, a quality of resonance in your legs that helps the energy of the earth to really move through you. Really cultivate that resilience. Here we're going to be making a contact called the five-pointed star. And the five-pointed star is just really fundamental to the gestalt, the wholeness of energy in the body. There's a sense in the way the five-pointed star, which again has profound meanings in sacred geometry, is the crystallization of the life breath and embodies the pattern of energy which underlies life. So here we're going to be making a contact at the glenohumeral joint at the shoulder to the opposite hip. Here you want to have your hand on the crest of the ilium. And you want to begin a gentle rocking of the hip, appreciating that there's a current of loving energy between your hands, a current of life force energy between your hands. And this current is interacting with the bioresonance of all of the organs that are between your two hands, helping to bring those fields into a deeper relationship, a more coherent resonance with the ultrasonic resonance of the soul. So it's a gentle rocking, and then stillness, feeling for presence, very present in your hand, feeling for a current between your two hands. In Dr. Stone's model, every organ of the body has a reflex below. That vibration is never happening in isolation. It's always happening in what we call the pentamerous combination of the elements. That the elements are always vibrating as part of a gestalt. That the vibration above is influencing the vibration below, and vice versa, and left and right, and front and back, in a vibration of wholeness. In the five-pointed star, we work with this gestalt of vibration that underlies the vitality of the body. Next, the lower hand moves to the opposite hip, and again it's a gentle rocking for 30 or 40 seconds with the emphasis on rocking of the hip, the superior hand being essentially receptive. Then it's a process of stillness, deeply present in our hands, feeling the current between our two hands. We then make a contact on the opposite shoulder, gently rocking the shoulder. Then stillness and present, feeling for a current. These relationships above and below are really profound. For instance, when you're holding on to old fear, resentment in the ascending colon, it has an influence on the way your heart is vibrating above. In the same way, if you're feeling constipated emotionally, again, holding on to feelings that you're not expressing, it expresses in your gallbladder, the decision maker, where your feelings move into action. Then for our last contact, we hold the contact from the hip to the foramen magnum. So here we're going to use our air and fire fingers at this great hole at the occiput, in stillness, feeling for a field between our two hands. Perhaps even seeing the energy of the five-pointed star as it dances under our hands. If you look in my book, Esoteric Anatomy, or in Dr. Stone's collected works, you'll see Dr. Stone's amazing chart of the five-pointed star and how it can be used in therapy. Back at the head, we really ground ourselves, feeling our heels, feeling our balls of our foot on the earth, feeling ourselves sitting. Here we're again balancing the long currents. First, making contact with our thumbs at the crown, and then splaying our hands across the forehead so they align with the long currents. Thumbs are on the crown chakra, fingers are splayed across the forehead so the fingers align with the long currents underlying the fingers and the toes. We'll hold this contact until we feel more coherence, or until we intuitively feel a sense of completion. While you're holding this contact, it's useful to ask the client if there's anywhere in the body they'd like to send some healing energy. Is there any place in your body you'd like to send some healing energy?
To my throat.
To your throat. So we're going to gently remove our hands, shake them off. Then we're going to bring all of our fingers together, and we're going to bring our thumbs to the opening of the ears. The thumbs resonate with ether, whose medium is sound. The ears resonate with ether as well, and resonate with the sonic environment prenatally, and resonate with our prenatal constitution, our essential constitution. Again, here we're going to use toning, which resonates with ether, the medium of sound. Here we're using sound itself. So this is a very, very powerful contact. We're going to picture the client. We're going to picture diamond white light radiating from the core of the client's body and from the nucleus of every energy field, just releasing any resistance or negativity and bringing that energy field into harmony with the light of the soul. In this case, the client was concerned with their throat, so both practitioner and client are going to tone into the throat. At the same time, doing a visualization of pure white light, diamond white light, releasing any resistance or negativity at the throat. We're going to be toning with the tone Ah, which really is resonates with the nervous system and is a yang, a positive, a rajasic resonance, which balances and vitalizes the energy of the body. Let's tone together 3 times. We're focusing diamond white light on your throat with the tone Ah. Deep breath. Deep breath. Deep breath. Gently remove your hand, shake them to the earth, and then we move into a contact called the cradle of sages of old. It is again a system of chakra balancing, but this chakra balancing is done at the positive field in the microcosm of the body, of the face. So here our earth fingers are paralleling the jaw, which resonates with the earth chakra, water fingers with the lips that resonate with the water chakra, fire fingers, the base of the nose resonating with fire, air fingers, the third eye, and the thumbs, again, towards the crown chakra. Not everyone's hands are going to be as big as mine. So you can move the lower hands so that these subtle hands are more in alignment. So you want to have your thumbs towards the core, towards the crown, your index fingers towards the core of the third eye. These other fingers are a little more flexible. And again, you breathe into your hands, letting them soften. You're very present in your hands, feeling the energy as we are focusing our attention in our hands in the cradle of the sages of old. We'll hold the contact until we intuitively feel a sense of completion, or until we feel a shift in the energy, gently removing our hands, shaking them off. Now, part of the Sattvic Energy Balancing Session, particularly as we get more comfortable with the basic moves, we can move on to learning how to take the pulses during the Sattvic session. Often we'll begin a Sattvic session by taking pulses here at the carotid arteries and taking pulses at the flexus longus hallucis at the feet, which we call the FLH or the twanger. The FLH is a tendon that is behind the malleola in this area of the heel. You can usually feel it twang if you put your thumb there, and it's a key reflex of the negative field at the core. For our purposes, we're bringing all our fingers below and behind the malleola and feeling for the pulse of life. This is an important assessment technique in polarity therapy. Now what we're feeling for is, are the pulses moving in the same rhythm on both sides of the body? If the frogs are jumping in symmetry, then the transverse currents, which rule the balance between the two sides of the body, are in harmony, and we would not need to do a Sattvic session. If the pulses on the two sides of the body were moving at a different rhythm, the frogs weren't jumping at the same rhythm, then we would want to do a Sattvic energy balancing body to bring the body from a degenerative phase into a balanced health building phase. If the pulses were weak, both at the FLH and at the carotid arteries, then we'd assume there was a lack of spiraling fire current, and we would be doing our Rajasic energy balancing. Again, if the pulses were weak, both at the FLH and at the carotid arteries, we'd assume there was a lack of vitality, and we would be doing a Rajasic energy balancing session to stimulate vitality. If the pulses were weak below, but strong above, we'd assume a pelvic block, and we would do our pelvic session in this series. If the pulses were strong below, but weak above, we'd assume a diaphragm block, and we would do our diaphragm session, which is a part of this series. So by taking these simple pulses of the life force near the carotid arteries and near the FLH, we can assess whether to do a Sattvic session, a Rajasic session, or a pelvic or diaphragm session.
Shanti, Shanti.